Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Yes.
Indubitably.
It's such a wonderful pleasure to be together this morning. Wanted to particularly say a few words this morning to welcome you all. About a month ago, when a number of us came together for our first monthly service, I had been ill for a couple of days and woke up in the morning of that service with most of my hearing gone and my vision clouded and my speech pattern a little bit uncertain. And that, as you can imagine, a little bit of disorientation. I didn't feel it was anything of any great concern. I just needed to take something in hand. And so I began to fast for several days and everything cleared. But as you can imagine, the first morning of the first service that we had arranged to wake up in that condition and then to endeavor to work through all of that to make a substantial connection with all of you in a direct and intimate and one-to-one sense, as well as a group. It had its challenges. So I wanted to come on again this time at the beginning and in a very definite and particular way extend the welcome that I feel and the joy that I feel and the intimacy that I feel is available to me and to us in this new development of a monthly service pattern. And there are some folks on the line this morning who were not present at that first service. And I'd like to give you, those of you who weren't on that call, an opportunity to introduce yourself and say hello to everybody. So we have Oregon, Colorado, Navajo land. I believe that's where you are, Luann. South Africa, Israel. Please say hello to everybody. Daniel, why don't we start with you?
Thanks, David. Daniel Cartwright.
You may have to unmute.
I think I am. I think I am. Can you hear anything?
I can hear you, Daniel.
All right. How about you, David? David, you there? Technology.
Okay, well, Daniel's not coming through. Can the rest of you hear him?
We can, David.
Okay, I can't.
We
hear
can
Daniel.
hear him, David. Yeah.
John here.
But welcome,
Yes, I can
Daniel.
hear you clearly, David.
And from Colorado.
Hi, well, I'm Robert Merriman from Colorado, Denver, and it's a real pleasure to be with you today.
Bendel from Fort Collins, Colorado, USA. Sunny day and pleasure to be with you.
For some reason, I can't hear everybody. I'm not sure what that is.
Can you hear me, David?
This is Ron Baird and Shirley Malin calling from Fort Collins, Colorado.
Give me a moment here. Okay, I've made some adjustments. Okay, let's move on to Robert.
Hi, Robert Merriman from Denver, Colorado. And it's good to recheck in. David, I think everybody out here in the field can hear, but for some reason yours wasn't working. It's an unmitigated pleasure to be with you.
Thank you, Robert. Mine is working now. I can hear you. South Africa. Welcome.
Hi, everybody.
Wait. Let's unmute. There you go.
Hello. Well, let me start first. We are a group of 3, and I'm Mia Everard. I know some of you, and some of you know me. Next to me is Arno van Hacht, and then there is Flora Milan. We're very happy to be with you.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Welcome.
Welcome. Jeffrey.
Greetings, this is Jeffrey Goldstein. I'm living in Jerusalem, Israel, and I'm really happy to be with you. I just heard about the call from Pendel and decided to jump on, and I have to leave at the top of the hour, so I can't stay an hour and a half. But I'm really, my heart's open, and it's wonderful to share with you.
Navajo land.
Well, hello, David and everyone. This is Luann Summers. I'm actually in Phoenix. I drove down to the valley to warm up in the sun here, and I live 6 hours north. I will normally be joining you from Navajo land on these calls. Very good to be with you. It's a great honor. Thank you.
Colorado. Pendel.
Pleasure to be with you from Fort Collins, Colorado, USA.
All right, I think we've all touched in. We won't go through a roll call every time, but from time to time, we'll have various ones identify themselves and their locations. Today, Bill is going to read something to us that will open up our group consideration. But I want to say some words about how this new opportunity opened up. I've mentioned to you that Anne isn't here this morning. She's not feeling well, so she's lying in the other room listening. And it's always a bit disconcerting, isn't it, when there's a pattern of illness shows up, especially in the world the way it is right now. And there's the two opportunities, really. One is to become very aware of the world pattern of sickness that is present and quite dominant at the present time. And of course, there's the opportunity to, through fear and over concern, become attuned to all of that. And then there's the opportunity to let an intensified current of radiation flow through our own body temple and into that world body that is showing so many ranges, levels, and manifestation of sickness. As I was thinking about that this morning, it took me back to 1987, late 87 and early 88, just as Martin was completing his incarnation. And all of us were aware of what was taking place in his body. And then he left. And that was 33 years ago. It's the length of time that the master took to prepare himself to begin his public ministry and complete it. It says that after the crucifixion that he remained for 40 days. Talking with the disciples, he continued with them for 40 days, speaking of things pertaining to the kingdom of God. And I've often thought over this past year of those 33 years that have passed since Martin left, as being 33 of those 40 representing a time where his spirit has actually lingered with us, speaking in the sanctuary and the temple of our own hearts and minds and bodies of the things pertaining to the kingdom of God. Preparing a body of people to assemble in the forming temple and serve in maturity. And all of us have been involved in that unfolding pattern of listening to what it was that the Lord has been speaking over the past 33 years. And being diligent about our generations and being prepared for a day when there could be once again a reassembly of those disciples and prophets and priests in the upper room of the temple. Letting the outpouring of the Spirit occur through us in waves of radiance and return. That the Lord might have a vehicle on earth, a body on earth through which to release his radiance, which we discover as we find union in the temple of light is our own radiance, one with his. So Martin's last words to us were, the light of the body is in the eye. If thine eye be single, thy whole body shall be filled with light. The word of the Lord to those who are invited to participate in the formation of the temple of light and to serve in the temple of light is, if thine eye be single, thy whole collective temple body shall be filled with light. And shall be a temple of light composed of many angels, incarnate and in expression, many human beings in spiritual expression together. Laura Fisher wrote me a little note this morning, and she wrote, "It is my pleasure to be with you as you prepare for service this morning. The times I was with Martin's household, the times that I was with Martin's household on Sunday mornings before service, there was a silence that rang like universal toning. It was deafening and all-consuming. So there are those of us who worked and served with him, have come to know him as he was and have come to know the Lord because of him. And so there is a need. It's felt that there would be the beginning of a pattern of service that is designed to facilitate the generation of a very unique quality of refined pneumoplasm. When everyone who's gathered together in one place, in one accord, is sustaining an atmosphere that allows an outpouring of spirit. Which is natural to each specific service period. This is an opportunity to bring our love and thanksgiving to the focus of spirit for this seven-plane world, the Lord of Lords. To provide him with a vehicle. We wouldn't really be able to do that if we didn't have some knowing of him, his spirit. So that's obviously present in the temple of love, the temple of light, the temple of life. And he is the high priest in the temple, not in along the lines of the priestly lineages of this religious world. But as we spoke last time of the Melchizedek priesthood. But to provide a body of disciples and servants and prophets and priests who know that that's who they are, and by reason of our presence in that capacity provide a vehicle through which the radiation of love into his body and his world can pour forth in rhythms of blessing. Released and allowed to return, to be welcomed as they return in that ascending current. Those who know the voice of the Master love his voice. The Master is in the temple. We find that present often in the Eastern world when we go there. Enter a temple, there's a priest or a master in the temple. But those who love the Master know his voice and they follow him. And so we're going to use, as part of what we do, the high vibrational qualities that are inherent in the primary third sacred school materials to open some doors and go through and look at things in you and allow a movement together into higher levels and higher ranges. And let a vertical expansion take place. So much concern with external expansion has been present over the last 2,000 years. Of course, a lot of that necessary, and to get people and situations in the world changed around so that the Lord could have an opportunity to have a shot to bring things to focus again in very particular places through groupings of people. But there has been a tremendous preoccupation with horizontal expansion and horizontal creation. And everything seems to be squashed down to the first and second levels, mental and physical, and a tremendous but thin layer of emotional expression. But here we have an opportunity to let a vertical expansion of pneumoplasm and an expanding expression of spirit take place. So the days to come, we're hopeful that this service opportunity will give not just me or Bill or Anne or Linda, who had the first thoughts, I guess you could say, to bring this together at this time, but all of us who are priests in the Temple of Light, an opportunity to share what we have to share through reading something and through speaking extemporaneously. Let each one speak in their own natural tongue and language, their choice of phrasing and words. Anything that fits in the temple, anything that's on tone is welcome. Anything that's respectful and respecting of others and reverent. Everything that is sacred from the lowest in the clear heaven to the most high, that can be wisely and rightly shared. This is open to us. There's no room for conflict, no room for judgment, no room for criticism, but there's a great deal of space and room for straight, clear, clean, direct talk, conversation in the temple. Anything that really fits in the cycle, in the movement that we share together. And there's no need for anyone to imagine that any one of us should speak in a particular kind of group language or group speak or group think. Each totally free to speak in their own natural manner, as I feel I am now with you. And I certainly don't expect that you would do it like I do it. But each priest, whether male or female, is called to bring what they uniquely as an angel are called to bring. They're a part of the body of the high priest, who is the Lord of Lords, beginning to reappear again on earth in a conscious way, through conscious expression, and by reason of the transformation that has been taking place in the subconscious. Because of the pure heart that permeates that subconscious realm. And so there's no concern about what might erupt out of the subconscious into the conscious and be blurted out in a manner that doesn't fit in the temple, because actually only that which does fit can get in. But we'll also have an open space for free-flowing conversation afterwards, however much time we have on each monthly service. So we're starting with small numbers and letting a vertical expansion take place, not concerned with horizontal so much, but we have been interested in specifically inviting certain ones, knowing the core focus that various ones have been maintaining that has allowed the emergence that we've seen in various locations and through various groupings over the last few years. And this monthly Temple of Light service pattern at this point can be seen to assist in providing a core focus point that contributes in an integrating way and a creative way to all that is being offered everywhere through everyone who is functioning in any level in a core spiritual sense. Whether they are conscious of that or yet unconscious of that, but have a love for what is at the core of integrity in themselves and the world. And so we can assist in providing an orientation point for that that is helpful in the world. And so in a core sense, the highest essences of spirit that we are naturally and easily able to allow to move from the inner realms. We may provide a body of people and an external temple setting vibrationally through which the spirit can move consciously and unconsciously from the core to the periphery of all that is being drawn together by love. Into a union with the Spirit of the Most High. So I've felt it's important to be very specific at the outset about what this new venture is all about. We're very aware of the profane world. Profane has been defined as being that which is outside of the temple. And we walk easily in the profane world, speaking with those who are drawn to us. But here in these hours, there's an opportunity to be inside the temple, in service. Temple service, it rings true and right to me. And so I'd like to, with those few words, once again, just express my pure delight at being with you. And envision a day when some of us again will be able to be together physically to share. But we're together vibrationally, and we have been over the last 33 years, letting this important cycle of clarification come. With all its apparent losses, there is this apparent gain, evidence of the presence of the Lord, of the Word. So acknowledging these things together, Bill has something that he's going to share with us.
Well, thank you, David, for your beginning words. It's a pure delight to be together with all of you today. I think I know most of you, but it's so great to see all of you in my gallery view on my computer screen. This morning, this afternoon, and this evening, I'm going to share an excerpt, actually, of a service from Martin. It was given by Martin on July 27th, 1986, and it was the morning service, and it was entitled, "This is My Body." After I read, I'll have a few comments, and then I'll open it up for anyone who would like to share their thoughts. This is my body. Holy, 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 Lord God Almighty, which was and is to come. I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the ending, saith the Lord, which is and which was and which is to come, the Almighty. Coming in the name of the Lord, I speak the word of the Lord. I am present on earth through my flesh body. I am present in fact, not merely in symbol. This is my body. This is my blood of the new creation, pulsing through my flesh body as the sound of many waters. Through my word, I make all things new. Through my word, I make all things. Without my word is nothing made that is made. All that is present in my body, all that is present in the whole universe is made by my word. Should my word ever cease to be spoken, which would never happen, there would be nothing. By my word, all things are made, all things are sustained. Let my word always be spoken through my flesh body on earth. Then behold, I make all things new. In this hour, my word is spoken through my flesh body on earth. All the structures of form throughout the whole universe exist because of my word. Present with all the structures of form is my spiritual substance, which permeates the forms and which accommodates my spirit and my word. The structures in the coarsest levels of form throughout the whole universe are living structures because of the spiritual substance which permeates them, thereby maintaining the sound of my voice in the speaking of my word. One of the structures designed to contain this essential spiritual substance in its finest manifestation is the consciousness of man. This spiritual substance we have referred to by using the word pneumoplasm. Let us not imagine that mentally there is understanding of what that word really means. Insofar as the mind is concerned, it has a concept, probably a variety of concepts, according to the number of people who hold them. The concept is never the truth. It is a human invention. But it certainly is easily sensed that there is this connecting substance between spirit and form, the many structures of form. The most obvious structures of form are the structures composed of what we might refer to as physical substance. But there are structures other than that. In human experience, there are what might be referred to as organizational structures. Structures which can be identified mentally within the range of human affairs. These are all structures of form. In view of the fact that these structures do not permit the word to be spoken with clarity and authority, there are indeed many aberrant effects in the world which is humanly known and which has been humanly created. The forms of this world, the structures that are present there, utilize physical substance. Cities are built, for instance. Concrete is laid across the land. But in addition, there are structures of organization, local structures, national structures, international structures of all kinds. Human flesh bodies, with their consciousness, have been fed into these structures generation after generation, so that the structures have grown and multiplied. But these are not living structures. They are, in every case, dying structures. As has been noted in times past, anything that human beings produce, even of their own kind, dies, disintegrates. Behold, I make all things new. New structures, but living structures rather than dying structures. Mentally speaking, we have an awareness that everything that human beings do disintegrates. There may be a recognition that disintegration is included in the creative process. Very fortunately so, insofar as mankind is concerned, because it makes it possible for the rubbish to be swept out. But the primary purpose of speaking my word is to establish the dominion of integration, the dominion of life, which was and is to come. Life has always been present throughout the past. It is present now and will still be present in the days and the years to come. I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the ending, saith the Lord. Mine is the creative process, which shall always prevail. I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the ending, saith the Lord. My creative cycles prevail in spite of all the arrogant antics of human minds. Rise up, my love, rise up, because love raises the mind out of the pit of knowledge. Human minds swell with their own importance when they are stuffed full of knowledge. Knowledge does not give importance. It reveals the fact of rebelliousness toward the Lord God Almighty. These are words, but they refer to something real, something that is present, but remains, insofar as the mind is concerned, the unknown God. The heaven of the Almighty cannot be known as long as human beings are trapped in the bottomless pit. Rise up, my love. There is love to make it possible for the rising up. No one can scramble up out of the pit by human effort. The only way to emerge out of that condition is to rise up because of the drawing power of love. No one comes to the true experience except the Father, love, draw him. It cannot be done by any effort that the human mind may put forth, or by any of the desires of the human heart. Oh, to be emptied of all such stuff, that there may be space for love. Love is an unknown quantity. It is necessary to be drawn up out of the pit to know what love is. Love does the drawing and does not require any definition by the human mind. We have discovered this to some extent because, becoming a little humble, we may say, what has happened in my own experience to allow the increase of understanding didn't come because I tried to get it. It always comes, if it comes, in spite of the person, not because of the person. If it comes at all, it comes in spite of human nature, because there is a crack somewhere through which love may emerge into subconscious experience, raising a person up. There is this resurrecting process by which the consciousness of man sheds its addiction to the bottomless pit and begins to breathe at last the satisfying air of the spirit. We share this process now, if we will. We may be filled to overflowing with this spirit, so that the word is spoken, is brought to focus by reason of the generation of the finest levels of pneumoplasm. This substance of spirit is generated on the basis of one's own life, emerging into expression, clear and without distortion. We begin to be honest about these things, and we recognize that all that human beings do in this human nature condition is based on absolute self-centeredness. So we reach a point where we are sick and tired and done with all of this fetid stuff of human nature, which promotes itself at the expense of other selves. Rise up, my love, come out of that morass. The word is spoken to mind and heart by one who obviously is not trapped in the bottomless pit. That one is present with each person. Over many, many years, I've been associated with many, many people, you included, who have been filled with questions. Why? What? How? There's this thing in my life. You'd better take a good look at it and tell me how it should be straightened out. Nobody can tell you how it should be straightened out because it doesn't need to be straightened out. You need to be straightened out. You produced the trouble. Accept that fact. Finally, you may emerge, break surface into the state where there are no troubles of this nature. That's where human minds and hearts belong. They don't belong in this pit. No, we know the foolishness of all this, but we don't always behave as though we knew the foolishness of it. That's right, too, isn't it? Rise up, my love, and come again to the garden. It doesn't say that the garden was taken away. It merely says that human beings were put out of it, but it's still there. It's still here, still available. This search for knowledge is the veil, is that fellow who stands at the gate of the garden with the flaming sword. You can't get by as long as you imagine that your knowledge is going to save you. It isn't. It doesn't ever. It ensures the passing of the human flesh. This is my body through which I speak my word. My word has been spoken this morning by reason of this flesh body. This is my body. This is my blood. This is the way by which I may speak my word on earth, that my garden may become known again to those who relinquish this useless search for more knowledge. There is the tree of knowledge. It was always there, but it was not fruit to be stolen and used for the supposed benefit of human beings. This is all that knowledge is considered to be useful for, isn't it? To benefit me, to benefit the human race, to benefit everybody. Everybody is going to be blessed. But all that has happened is that everybody has been cursed, based in this one thing, that life should become subject to the concepts and the ideas gleaned from the bottomless pit of knowledge by the human mind. Everybody has been tarred with the same brush. So we rise up because love calls. and there is sufficient yieldedness of heart to rise up in response and let go of that hard, harsh arrogance of the human mind, which thinks it knows so much, when all its knowledge condemns mankind to oblivion. This is the fact. Rise up, my love, and come away. Let there be a generation of fine spiritual substance, that it may be drawn to focus, to receive the focus of spirit, that spirit, moving through that focus point, may flood the spiritual substance which has been drawn together. I make all things new by this, because all things, all structures, when filled with the fine substance of spirit, and therefore by spirit, reveal their true nature. Firstly, it happens in consciousness. That has been pretty rigid in most human beings, but it is the area where there is the most potential of flexibility. Let it stir that first, so that human consciousness may come into alignment with the design of spirit, which begins to flood the spiritual substance when it is present. Then it moves on out. All substance, whether of a physical nature or whether one might say of an organizational nature, is the way it is because of the nature of the pneumoplasm that is present in human beings, at least insofar as the area of human responsibility is concerned. Because that substance has not been available to spirit, then the forms are dead. They have a temporary life, some of them. So we share these moments, aware of the truth of the word of the one whose body this is. I am present. This is my body, not the body of anyone here. There have been those who have attempted to make this emerging body move in this direction or in that direction. Do this or do that. It should be so and so. It shouldn't be something else. All this judgment has been spawned, which has simply interfered with the process, not stopped it, but interfered with it. Woe unto those who attempt to distract it or make it work according to some human view. Let it be exactly what it is in design, that it may be brought forth with beauty and wonder and power. That all structures everywhere may be changed in whatever way is necessary. There is no problem to that, no problem at all. Only in the human mind, which is struggling with these things, trying to make peace, trying to get rid of nuclear arms, trying to do this, trying to do that. All that is so useless. Let the body come forth according to the true design. And in the intensity of the outpouring of this spirit, the speaking of the word, all things are made new. Everything stands up according to the nature of what is present in the pneumoplasm. Let that change, and there's no problem with respect to physical substance or organizational substance. It all must yield then. But not until the change is the fact in those who provide the flesh for this body. I rejoice that there are those who are willing that this should be so, to whatever extent that may be true at the moment. It might be said This is my body. It's all I've got. Speaking of this body, I rejoice that there is a quality of resiliency that is becoming more evident than it has been in times past. If there isn't much resilience, everything becomes such hard work. But when the resilience is there, it's easy and fun, enjoyable, fulfilling, just wonderful. So let us share in this wonder in heaven. Well, I think it's very appropriate that we should share a service called This Is My Body. Because we know that we've all been drawn to play our part in this body. And it certainly wasn't our human mind that brought us to this place, but it definitely is the drawing power of love that brings all things together into the Lord's design. I was thinking how beautiful the world is. So many evidences of beauty, even though the finest levels of pneumoplasm have been destroyed by human beings over many years of fallen man. There is still such evidence of great beauty around us. We could only imagine what the true state would be when the spirit of love has free rein to work through the fine levels of spiritual substance to bring about the true design on earth. The Master invited human beings to join him in the regeneration. And this is exactly what we're involved in right now, letting the finer levels of spiritual substance be generated so that the word of love, the spirit of love, the influence of love can be present in the world. We look at news reports and it appears that it's a completely loveless world. So much bickering, so much blaming and accusation, so much criticizing and judgment. Where's the beautiful spirit of love in all of this? Well, so many people have forgotten about the spirit of love because the consciousness of man has descended to the level of form, to the level of coarse structures, whether it be social structures or religious structures or political structures, structures of belief galore. There are just so many structures piled upon structures in the world that human beings have created. And it's a tremendous burden on people. They can't really identify with this experience of glory that is known when we rise up and experience the spirit of love working through us. So what an opportunity we have together to let all things be made new and to be thankful for the reminders that have come our way through the years, to learn what it means to rise up, to come out of the structures of human consciousness and to generate the fine substance and let our consciousness be resurrected so that we're constantly aware of letting the heavenly essences of spirit be present in our world. Man was designed to be at the crossover point between heaven and earth. We could say the connecting link. But only when we abide in heaven, only when we're at this crossover point, can we actually know what it means to let the heavenly essences permeate our lives and to extend this influence to those who are in our world. So how wonderful to share this awareness and consciousness with all of you. And I'm so thrilled that we can spend this time together, a time of, we would say, unified radiation. There is a unified radiation because all involved have risen up to a level where they're aware of extending the influence of the spirit of love through themselves. So at this time, I would like to open it up for anyone who would like to share their thoughts.
So yesterday we were watching the memorial for Prince Philip, and what struck us was this last call that was depicted on the show. And the last call was this trumpet call that Philip had wanted to blast out of a call to action. And, you know, I thought, talk about passing forms, like thinking about the monarchy still maintaining something of an orientation to spirit in a way. But then I thought about, you know, Martin coming out of that pattern and thinking of that trumpet blast and then picking up Martin's book as of a trumpet, actually see that all things can be made new with a legacy of spirit that we all carry. So I thought just seeing what happened yesterday in form of that trumpet call, that actually see this, the call of spirit that we all are here to bring into the world.
I thank God that all things are made new. Rise up, my love, my fair one, and come away. Coming away to what? To beauty and wonder and power. That's where we go, because love calls. How marvelous. Rise up, my love, my fair one, my beautiful one. That's a message to my soul. It's beautiful, but it is just. It is honest. It is fair. It's brotherly loving. It is fair to all things, particularly oneself. Oneself. So how beautiful this day. It firstly comes in human consciousness. I remember Matthew and Mark were at the same place when the master astonished everybody with his doctrine, because he spoke with authority and not as the scribes. He knew that there was a call to be given to the human soul to rise up and come away. Come away from what? That's not the question I asked. Come away to what? This wonder, this merciful power that is so powerful, it deftly takes care of us. It enfolds. May I do the same thing in my capacities. May my every word be a lifting up. Maybe reflect the souls of the beloved. That's what we have to give here. Oh my, so wonderful. Praise be raised.
Bill, so Terry isn't able to be with us today because her sister's visiting from San Diego. But actually, her sister's with me right now. She said something remarkable yesterday. she took me, or I took her to the Blue Heron, which is a beautiful nature reserve right here in the center of the city. And she, she had her camera on a tripod, and I noticed after half an hour she hadn't taken any pictures. I said, "What's that?" She said, "Well, when I go to a new place, I'm really here first, just to have the place speak to me. And I'm seeing plenty of backdrops, but I haven't chosen one yet to sit and wait for the beloved to come." Those are my words, those aren't hers. But she meant it, for a duck to float down the river right in front of this backdrop, or for the perfect sunlight ray to cast across the view. And she said she would go to a place and wait for 3 hours. Just wait for the beloved to show up. Those are my words. And the reason I'm using those words is because I suddenly realized today that I've been writing for months now. I've told some of you that, diarying. And I've been writing a lot of things, and I realized that I've been writing and writing and writing, not to learn anything, but to just provide, look for that space where something comes through. And it wasn't necessarily while I was writing, but I began to realize during the day that out of nowhere, the beloved would come through. There would be this amazing situation that arose around me, in people, in just the weather would change, maybe my body would stop hurting. I mean, it doesn't matter what it is. It was a sensing that something much, much greater than I was there, and in full presence. And it has been glorious. And I realized that there are so many ways to come to this, but it always catches you by surprise. That's been my experience.
If I can add a little extra comment, what Robert was saying with Terry's sister, these irises in our backyard that just popped up. And, we've had them for years now, but we never took notice. But Terry's sister loves taking these pictures, and she went to take a zero in on these irises coming up. Bill, you were saying beauty all around. Like, it took Terry's sister for us to appreciate what we actually have in our backyard. And here she is for the first time in our backyard.
I was thinking that we could each one of us say, "This is my body, this body, and this. We are my body. We are all part of this one body." And I kind of delighted, because I think I must have met Mia maybe in 1984 when I was in South Africa. And Linda told me, there was going to be a South African Mia on the line. And I was like, no, I don't know her. But the minute Mia spoke, I remembered. Her voice sounded a tone that I remembered. I said, "I do know you." Now, Mia, I don't know where we met, but we have met, because I remember the tone of your voice. And I find that in my daily living, so many people begin to remember. You are speaking just words, but somehow the tone of our voice strikes something in individuals, and you find that there's that magic that happens. And you may be talking about your garden, or you may be talking about, healthcare or whatever, but that connection is there, and then people begin to have that vertical ascension that David was speaking of. And they begin to realize that, not at a conscious level, because we cannot come to know the Lord mentally. the things of the mind cannot perceive the things of spirit. And for so long, all these 33 years, maybe we have had all these mental gyrations to what this body is. But this glorious body that I gaze upon is of the fine substance of love, where we speak our word into our worlds every day. Sometimes profound words, sometimes just mediocre words, but we speak that word together and we hear the tone of one another's voices and we delight so in that tone, and we delight to see what the Lord would make new, because it has been made new before our eyes, and we don't have any design on it. We just delight and give thanks for each one and each moment that we have to participate in these great and glorious days. Thank you all for everything. Adele.
Millicent, you reminded me of something. A line from Martin. There is power in the spoken word. When it is released through a pure heart and a spiritually governed mind. Now, he didn't qualify that as saying there is power through the spoken word, in the spoken word, when it's spoken in a service, a Temple of Light service by Zoom. And only then. We all speak words all the time. And I have to tell you that when I revisited that sentence a couple of weeks ago, there was a release in my consciousness of new ranges of understanding and substance that was instantaneous, that let me know that that applies everywhere and anywhere that a word is spoken. There is power in the spoken word, wherever, whatever situation, shared with whoever, anytime, any place, when it is released through a pure heart and a spiritually governed mind. It transforms. May not see instantaneous transformation, but it is the word being spoken in daily living. I don't know about you, but in my silent moving about in my world, I'm constantly speaking the word, not outwardly, but any thought, any feeling, any impulse that comes, it is oriented in the word. It's wonderful to reach that point beyond, as Martin was saying, all that questioning. Well, how does this work? And how would this work in my life? And how would I speak the word in this situation? And what does that mean? But all of that being silenced. And be aware of the word permeating the inner atmosphere and the outer. And then I remembered the sentence, speak the word only. Speak the word only, and it shall be done. Relative to a healing cycle that had to occur way back then. But it seemed to have such immediate application in my life now. Speak the word only. So, Millicent, you reminded me of this and how, as that's done, then there's a natural drawing together of all that substance that allows the word to be spoken into a time of very particular service and worship and return of the joy and the pleasure of creation to the Lord.
Well, I might enjoy speaking up at this moment. Can you hear me, David?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm just grateful for the effort that you and Bill have made to come together in this. And I wanted to share some words of Martin's, because like you, I have such a longing to know the word, live the word, and I find the words as they came through Yolanda and Martin, and subsequently Alan did a good job too. But I have this quote here from Martin that seems very pertinent now to what you've begun to establish. And here are his words. He says, one of the things that the male has very largely lost is the ability to communicate, to have communion with another male. This is the first order of business. In actual fact, men are quite willing to discuss all kinds of external things with each other, particularly over a bottle of beer, but usually steer well away from anything which would relate to revealing something of the heart. There is fear here. The close spiritual communion between men allows for the male point of focus of authority to put in an appearance in an expanded sense. Otherwise, it can't. So this is so beautiful to consider in these terms, in this setting. And I know I have also recalled words of Yolanda where he said, since Eve initiated the fall, she's certainly responsible for the return to the restored state. So she needs to be in position to provide what she can for the male to find this safe exposure of the heart. And I'm thinking this is a beautiful setting right now here that we can do this. And I'm so thankful for the chosen ones at this point who are willing to do this. So I love you all and I appreciate this opportunity. Thank you, David and Bill and the ladies with you.
Yolanda's words in the 1932 writings, this 7 Steps in the Way, where he spoke about Eve and the fall and how that Eve was actually motivated by love for the creation. She just was a little impatient and she didn't let that happen in the way it should happen. She tried to rush it and she ended up kind of screwing things up. And he called it Eve's ill. And I think of that a lot. I think when something comes to me to be handled, I sometimes think, am Am I about to be subject to this? Is that Eve's ill? Is that horizontal instead of vertical? Well, the answer is, of course, yes. And it occurs to me that in every moment, as we live, as we function as the word of the Lord in form, in expression on earth, right now at this point, that every time I open my mouth, I have a choice of speaking the word, our word, the Lord's word, or not. But I am also realizing that it's an easy choice. It's not a mental choice. It's simply the choice of the heart and the mind to be subject to the incarnate angel, to the Spirit of God, to the love that we know that is. When I speak that word, every one of you, and I know many more, are speaking that word as well. And what power that must be. What a blessing that must be. Why would I not choose that in every moment? I had a very strange week this week, which I won't bother you all with, but the upshot of it was that Thursday night I was awake all night. And there was a point at which I wondered if I was going to be alive the next morning. And I came to a point where I thought, well, this is weird, but if it's time, it's time. I don't think it is, but what do I know? What do I know? I don't know. I just there's something going on here. There's a transformation occurring, and I just need to let it happen. That did not put me to sleep or change the whatever it was that was moving. But I got up the next morning and went, okay, well, that was interesting. And I moved into the next 2 days, and they were two of the strangest days of my entire life. But I had the feeling that I have just now articulated to you. I didn't articulate it to myself as it was going on, that I was having a moment by moment conscious choice of speaking the word of the Lord. And I have been thinking for 2 months of the angelic proclamation, which I know is on Shirley's refrigerator, and it's on my bedside table. And it begins, how shall man in this day be restored? Let it be by the word of God, by his kingdom, by his power, to his glory. Let no human desire remain, let no human doctrine be kept or belief sustained. Let all human religions and temporal systems pass from the earth, leaving only God revealed, in man restored. This is the word of God spoken this day by us, by his angels in agreement on earth. Glory to God in the highest, as Pendel always reminds us. What glory to be together.
Suzanne.
Thank you, each one.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, Suzanne. I just wanted to say, you know why that proclamation's on my refrigerator door? I read that to so many of the friends who come to my house. Whenever this comes up as a discussion, I pull it off the refrigerator and I read that out loud. That's the kind of quality of people that come to visit us. Thank you for reading this.
Thank you both, ladies. I too took out the angelic proclamation a while ago. I couldn't stop thinking about it, and I had the privilege of being there when it was delivered. We bowed our head in prayer. It was spoken at a sunrise service. We were all in the parking lot. Martin was at the little chapel. When we raised our heads, the sun was shining just in the triangle of the stained glass at the back of the little chapel. There have been many times when there has been absolute proof that the power of the universe moves through the word of the Lord. It's absolute. I also would say a word about men's hearts and women's hearts. There is an absolute desire and need for both men and women to soften their hearts towards the Lord. When the heart softens, understanding comes. There's no need for judgment because you know everybody's had a hard time. Everybody's had what they've had. It's proof on the earth these days. Nobody's having a good time, except those with a soft heart who understand what's going on. When those ones speak, then the Lord's word is on earth, as it is in these moments in this company. How blessed we have been to hear these words over these many, many years. And I thank God for all that has happened to bring us back together, to speak together with soft hearts and understanding minds. Thank you.
The Lord's word has been spoken since the beginning of time through various ones, and more currently through the Master Jesus and Yolanda and Martin. People look back at the Master and think, oh, all those disciples, if I were there, I would have been right with him. Well, for the last 33 years, Martin and the spirit of love that did the calling to us and touched our hearts and drew us into his ministry, where we were ordained, and those who really let that tone go deep into the core of remembrance rose up and are rising up to assume that responsibility of speaking the word in a very conscious way. I'm so thankful for the ones I know. There are many I don't know, but the ones I know that are. And to hear it differentiated today through all of you that have spoken or that have had their silence that has represented their quality of pneumoplasm. It's all one thing. It was such a pleasure to hear the word of the Lord spoken right now through his flesh body. I'm so thankful for this medium of opportunity for us to voice our praise to the Lord. Oh, thank you all.
It's such a privilege to be here in the face of a mass ascension that we call a pandemic, and ascending and a descending from a new generation of angels incarnate. These wondrous young beings who have been filled with promise and commission already. They need enfoldment as to the souls that have passed already. So we're still here. That's an amazing place to be, this nexus of creation. I'm thankful because I had the opportunity to have a near ascension experience, and I glimpsed heaven. There is a wondrous place there, and it is as wondrous here. And I have the capacity and the opportunity to ascend in place, to ascend here. Why wait till the passing to do this? That's what we came for. So let it be spoken, and moreover, let it be done. Praise be raised.
Well, I've appreciated so much the word of love through each one of you. As Pamela was saying, the richness of love takes all. There's no one person who has a corner on the spirit of love. It takes all to know the many facets and the richness of the spirit of love. And that's what I was appreciating as each one of you spoke today. I thought, wow, you've all added so much to my awareness of the beauty and the wonder of love. And I felt the resurrecting power of the spirit of love as it is clearly conveyed through people on earth, through their words, through their thoughts, through their feelings, through every avenue through which they reveal themselves. And as Steve was saying at the beginning about the trumpet call, when the spirit of love sounds, that is a trumpet call, because that calls everyone to rise up. The thing is that call, that sound of the trumpet, simply needs to be sustained by those who know what their responsibility is, what their commission is. It needs to be sustained by a body of individuals who share this consciousness and who are letting the sound of the trumpet be sustained and increased. And as that is so, certainly there are more who hear it, and they may not know what it is, but if they have open hearts, they sense it. And there is that drawing power that calls them to join those who have extended the invitation to rise up. So it's been wonderful to share this time with you today. It's been a wonder. It's been a delight. And I wanted to see if David had any final comments that he would like to make.
Oh Lord, we thank thee for the opportunity that we have had this morning to meet together in the temple and provide a means by which your spirit, which is our spirit differentiated from your spirit through all these voices. We are so very thankful for the opportunity that we have to let the word, thy word, be spoken on earth. And to let it return through us, through our open hearts. Let it return to thee. All the substance and the fine gold of that which returns, we make available to thee, not siphoning off any aspect of it for personal human nature use at all. But to cycle after cycle, let the word be released. And to allow what returns to fully return to thee, so that you have a greater vehicle through which to work on earth. And we recognize that next Sunday, John and Pamela will be speaking, leading a number of us in a service hour. And as is always the case, all the substance that is free and available is made available to them for the release of what they find would be acceptable to thee and fitting in the circumstance. Where their particular focus of leadership is called into action in a more overt sense. And so we thank thee for this wonderful hour together, where we have moved in a clear spirit of agreement. Blended into oneness in the tone of the Amen. Thank you, everybody. See you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you,
David.
Thank you all. Our next monthly service will be Sunday, May 16th, and David will send you out a Zoom link a week before. Thank you all. Great to be together.
Thank you.
Thank you.